and then it'll just take me a couple of minutes to get it live on Facebook.
I'm just hoping I got some answers for you tonight.
Listen, we can really just shoot the shit if we need to, because I told you I like my head is in a weird, like kind of in the weird place. So
yeah, just have a chat.
This really might just be mad random today.
All right, I'll roll with that.
Let's see. So I was trying to. Oh, okay. Now it's working. See, this is so crazy. We were on Fridays. I don't know if I told you this, but on Fridays we do this movie night where we view a Netflix film and we watch it together using Netflix Party. It's a Google Chrome extension. And in addition to that, we do like a cooking thing. And we were trying to go live on Facebook through Zoom last week, and it would not connect. Now all of a sudden it's working.
No.
I'm like, oh, I was like waiting on it.
Yeah.
I thought it was like my laptop because I was using my regular MacBook as opposed to my Pro. So I was like, well, maybe it's, because this one is a little less robust, but it wouldn't work on either. And I'm like, why is it not working all of a sudden? It's always worked for us.
That's how it be.
Right?
Stuff never wants to work when you really want it to.
It never does. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this live.
All right.
Oh my God, it just said unable to stream your webinar to Facebook. All right, forget it. It's recording, so I'll just put it out on YouTube afterwards. It doesn't want to. It's fine.
That's no good.
And that sucks because we're the only ones in here. So this is not going to be much of a fun conversation. Most of our people show up on Facebook.
Oh.
Because I think we had like 20 registrations for the Zoom, but a lot of people always show up for the actual Facebook. I think we had like 1,500 views.
Oh, that's crazy.
Live on it last week. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously it does more numbers when we're in Facebook, but.
Well, I mean, if you need more time, since nobody's jumping just to try it,
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's probably just broke.
I know. I swear, like,
Yeah.
at least like it popped up past step one. Cause last week it wasn't even like letting me type anything in to make it go live. But this time when I hit go live, look at me, we're talking about tech enablement. And
we're having trouble.
and we can't.
You might just do have you tried to like clear cookies on Facebook and like clear Zoom cookies in the web browser? Sometimes I've had problems with that where I just have to clear everything out.
I just did that because someone was telling me they were having issues getting onto our website and I wouldn't have any problems. So I was like, well, maybe it's because I'm on there all the time, and it was still like I just cleared them out. So I feel like it should be working, but I don't know.
Stuff still.
I know.
So we're gonna have to do some make it real. Got to do some tech conversations about
about how this stuff really does act a fool sometimes. I mean, that's the bad side of it, right? Like if something goes down, you might be out of luck.
Oh, it says live on Facebook.
Okay. It's not showing as live on this side though. That's why I'm trying to. Okay. Okay. I have no idea if we're live. Let me see. Oh, yep, it's live. Okay.
There we go. Solved our first problem today.
Yep. We are live. Oh, and the people are coming in. Oh, hey, people. Welcome. Hey, Ariel. Hey, Nicole. Welcome. We are officially live on Facebook. We are live on Zoom. As you can see, it's a two-person chat today. Our third should be getting here soon, but we are gonna jump right in, and he's gonna jump in when he's ready. Hey, Ariel, you're welcome. Ariel's here, Darye.
Oh, awesome.
So if this is your first time joining us, this is welcome to Out the Mud, a nimble chat. We started these solely to talk about entrepreneurship in sort of the COVID-19 ecosystem as it stands right now, really as an opportunity to talk about outside of just like resources and things that are not going well for a lot of small business owners, things that people can start doing or thinking about to sort of pivot their businesses, pivot their ideas, think differently about their business, especially as now we have to rely on physical and social distancing, using the internet, et cetera. And this is especially true to a lot of people that have brick and mortar service-based businesses. In the last few episodes and the episodes that will likely come after this, we focused on very specific industries. So the first one we talked about events, which I feel like we're like the first industry that was affected by this, because if people can't congregate, that means that you can't have events. And so we talked about the impact on the events and what people in the events industry are doing to sort of maintain their audience. We talked about tech and talked about resources around technology with Taylor from Halo app. We talked about the food industry last week with Chef Oya. And this week is a little bit different. We're not going to talk specifically about an industry, but what we are going to talk about is sort of what's been the fiber of what Be Nimble and Black Hatch has been from the beginning, which is about tech. And I think something that people tend to be maybe confused about or unsure about is, you know, I have a business, but it's not tech. You know, what does that mean? You know, and in the age that we're in now, and especially now, right, I think everything has a layer of technology to it. There is some tool you're using, some platform you're using in order to get your business off the ground, get things moving, having programs and products that you use to keep things organized. And so I think underlying everything, every single business is essentially a tech business. I think it's just a difference between what's tech or what's tech enabled. And so what I wanted to talk about today, or what we're talking about today, is if you have a traditional business that exists in a brick and mortar or exists as a service base, now that we have to rely on the internet, what are some of the tools, what are some of the programs, what are some of the software that you could be using to sort of make this go easier for you? And so I couldn't think of anyone better to invite to talk about this than, I call him the resident CTO, Darye Henry, who is a founder, but also a guy that literally builds infrastructure all of the time for tons of different people. And so we took a bunch of questions. We welcome you to drop questions in the chat. Jeff will be joining us shortly. He's finishing up a work call. So as soon as he hops in, I'm sure he'll have plenty to say. And we have something really special that we're offering you guys after this. So make sure you stay tuned, or at least to start, drop your email down in the comments if you want access to that. So without further ado, I'm gonna introduce Darye to talk. Hey, Jeff, I just got finished doing the intro. Welcome.
Welcome. What's up? What's up, everybody?
I just got finished doing a blurb. And now Darye is going to jump in and introduce himself and tell us all about who he is, what he does. And we're just going to hop in. We're going to ask questions about how to tech enable things.
Love it. Got the background, everything going up.
You know what I mean? He got a real studio.
Hey, trying to make it happen, you know what I'm saying? Well, if I flip it the other way, there's nothing good on the other side. So had to do it this way. Yeah, so intro. So yeah, my name's Darye. I do, you know, my background is technology. So I've started off in software development, like, you know, creating apps before apps was a thing, I guess. So started off with development, worked in a few like startup companies, did that. And then in 2008, I actually started my own consulting company around technology, building custom applications for a lot of startup founders here in Indy. Did that for probably till 2016. And then I moved on to working in a startup studio where we focus on investing in companies, specifically with services. And so we get equity, and my job there was be a CTO for, I think it was like 11 companies. And so the job was really help founders make better decisions on technology. And that's really the focus. And that's really what I've been about anyway. Even back when I was doing my company, I always wanted to focus on helping companies succeed. That's really what it is, right? You're using technology to succeed. It's not just a thing you want or to make a cool product. So I enjoy that. That's what I do now. I'm a CTO, sometimes a part-time CTO for companies, and ultimately just help companies succeed by, implementing technology in many different ways.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, with that, could you explain to the audience CTO? What's that stand for?
Yeah, CTO is a Chief Technology Officer. I've heard technical officer, but one of those two you should do. Yeah. Yeah, and the main thing is just from that perspective. So when you think about technology, you have you can have a developer or somebody who implements technology, and then on the other side you have the founder who's like could be the CEO. But ultimately, they have the business in their mind, and that's what they're thinking about. CTO's job is really, and what I see my job as, is really to translate between the two. I've seen so many times where a founder is like, man, I tried to get this developed and it just didn't turn out anything like I wanted to. And that's because the communication breaks down. And sometimes developers don't take time to understand the business side. And that's super important when you're looking to implement technology.
So you're the bridge.
Yeah, try to be.
Darye, one of the questions that I get all the time, this is probably the highest ranked question on the question list of all the emails I get, inquiries we get, is I am a creative or I am a non-technical person. I don't know how to code, but I have an idea for an app in a business. What do I do? And people often just don't even know what to do next. They just know they have an idea and they need to figure out how to get it done. So in your opinion, I imagine people come to you with that exact same situation pretty often. What are some of the things that you tell them to do before it can even get to the technical part of what they need to build?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of steps in there. So usually what I recommend people do, one is talk to who you think your customer may be. So you have an idea, right? So the first thing I like to do is validate. You can go around and say, man, I need to do this. I need to spend money on it or whatever. But before you want to do that, get to talking to people. So if you have an idea that's supposed to help restaurants, the best thing to do is go talk to some restaurant owners or people that work at restaurants, get feedback first. So that's usually what I do, because usually that feedback helps really guide what your company is going to be. I found that one of the biggest mistakes is skipping past that part. You typically, the truth is we think we're smart, right? And we are, what I'm saying? We got some good insights. But no matter how smart you are, no matter how much you know about it, getting people to answer questions about what they need specifically allows you to become that expert. And that's really what you want to be. When you go talk to investors or anybody, you want to be the person who knows the most about whatever that subject is, or at least you know enough about it that you could speak in place of a restaurant owner, because you've talked to 10 of them and you've got a lot of feedback. So that's the first step to do that. I don't know if you want me to continue or you want to break there for a second.
Yeah, I mean, I think, that's the number one thing, right? Do the research. And I tell people all the time too, you approach this just like you approach any other business idea, right? You have to do all of the back work to make sure it's even an idea that could be validated, right? So you have to do your market research. You have to make sure you're solving a real problem. You have to make sure the thing you're trying to make is solving that problem. And then you get down the road, right? So let's say we get all this validation done. This is something that could really, jump off. We have some people that are interested, but I don't know how to code. How do we get from idea to MVP? Or how do you recommend people get from idea to MVP?
Yeah, so, and I can go through some of the process that I have conversations with people about. It usually starts with, again, it starts with the business side. I want to know how much the person knows and also where they're at in that process. Some of the early questions I ask are, what's your North Star? Like, how do you know you're solving this problem? Because again, it's all about translating that business into the technology. And so when you think about North Star, it's about decisions that you make have to align with this. And so an example of that in After School HQ, so I didn't introduce that, but I'm the founder of After School HQ. And our North Star is really simple. It's to get more kids in after school programs, which happens to be really difficult right now because school is closed. But that's our North Star, right? And so if we're not solving that problem, then we're not doing it the right way. So it helps us understand that. And then we think about goals, like who do you want to reach? Who are the different stakeholders, things of that nature? Who are your customer? And then as you think through some of those things, what I like to do is tell people, hey, if you're able to, and this is one of those cases where tools come into place, right? Like some of the tools you can use, but there are great tools that you can start laying out, like, this is what I imagine it to be, like prototyping. So to explain what that is, there's tools like Figma, that's FIGMA.com, but they have great tools where you can prototype what your app will, it doesn't have to look like that, but how it will work. And again, this is you doing the upfront work so you understand what you're looking for. One of the things that I always encourage on when you're working on your business, you have to be the expert. Sometimes, so this is one of the downfalls, right? And to say what you shouldn't do, here's something you should not do. So a lot of times you go out and you'll be like, I know what I want. Let me go find a developer. Let me see how much this costs. And that's the wrong place to start, because you need to dig in deep, answer a lot of the questions first yourself. If you go to somebody too early, they're going to tell you what you want. And by the time you're done spending whatever that money is, one, they're not going to know what you wanted because they didn't ask enough questions. But two, when you spend that money, you're going to wind up in the place that a lot of people I work with end up is like, man, I just spent $10,000 and it did not. This is nothing like what I thought. And I've seen people spend $100,000 and not get with it, and even more than that, which is just crazy, right? So that's why, I tell people, don't be intimidated by technology. Take the time, learn it a little bit, get whatever you need to do to start feeling comfortable and having conversations. It's your business. You are the expert on it. So don't let somebody come in and just like push you out the way or tell you to do something that, that you haven't learned about. So that's really my encouragement, is do the research first, and then basically take time to break down the business. And if you can, try to see how you can prototype. You can do that in Word. I mean, you can do that using anything. I've seen people use slide presentations, whatever it may be. Just get an idea of how it will work, and you're going to be way ahead of most people.
Got you. So, and I'm here speaking for, I call it the culture. People who, to your point, they got the idea, technology, foreign, they're scared of it. So let's break down some of these terms for them. Prototype, and I'm gonna act like you're teaching me. So prototype, essentially, I got this sneaker idea. I want to develop out this app that can locate sneakers at the cheapest price across the web. So when I plug in this shoe, I can just put it in. I can put in their UPC, and from there it'll search where I can find this particular shoe, the lowest price across the internet. And I wanted it in app form. So the prototype, essentially, based off of what you're telling me right now, is I basically have to map what I want that to look like and what I want that app to do to someone who can actually build it.
Yeah, absolutely. And keep in mind, it doesn't have to look anything like you imagine it, right? This is just straight up dirty prototyping, just to give you an idea. I mean, if you want to draw it on paper, you could, right? Okay. And so like a quick idea, if you want to prototype like I want to create an app that somebody can sign up and then send a text message to somebody in 6 hours, you know, like a scheduled text message or something like that, right? Then you would just say, all right, I need a sign up screen. When they fill that out and they tap this button, it goes to, you know, hey, let us know what your time zone is or something like that, right? Or whatever it may be. And then it goes to, hey, type in your message and hit send. And then it's a thank you screen. So it could be literally just 4 screens that you just draw out and you get an idea like what's happening. So when they click this, a thank you message goes out or a text message gets sent, et cetera. So again, it's just thinking through those things. And you don't have to be perfect with it. The point is not that you can take this to, you know, it's not to be professional. Again, it's just to get an idea out. That's all it is. And it's an exercise that I found helps you work through a lot of the kinks, right? About what the business is about. Yeah.
Gotcha. Because essentially the goal is to translate your business idea to on the technical side for someone to essentially build what you envision it to look like.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
I want to pick up on something that you had mentioned, Darye, about, you know, how someone will go too early, right? Like before they've mapped out these screens, they'll go to someone and say, I just need this thing made. And then, you know, someone takes advantage of them, takes all their money, builds something, and then it ends up not being the thing that they need to build. How would they use someone like you to help them better understand like what they really need? How do they get better with just talking about, you know, what they need for people so they're not taking advantage of? Because I've seen that a ton. And I feel like that's something you do really well.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, no, you do.
Yeah, I mean, that's really my goal. So when I was doing my company, we're doing like custom software. The part that hurt me the most, because in general, I just like to help people. I like to see people successful, right? You don't want to see anybody wasting money. So I would have people come and they'd be like, yeah, I just spent 80,000 on this. And they'd be like, man, you know what I'm saying? And you know, as a small business, whether it's 10,000 or whatever, like every dollar counts, right? And so the thing I try to look at is being on the founder side. That's the difference between me running a dev shop and me being a CTO, right? It's being an advocate for the founder and being able to focus on what's best for your business, not necessarily what's best for my development company, if that makes sense. And so really what that is, I help people create technical product roadmaps and think through that whole process. So when you think about a roadmap, right, it's really just, you know, here's point A, here's point B, you know, and it really just lays out what you need to do and when. And so I'm gonna throw out a few terms, you know what I'm saying, here.
We're writing a glossary right now.
Yeah. So people usually come say, I want an MVP. You know, a lot of people have heard that term, everybody has not, but so MVP is minimum viable product. It means what you need to get customers on it and start using it. There's also what I call, what's been called an MTP. It's a minimal testable product. And so what I try to do is, again, the goal is to spend the minimum amount of money to get the maximum amount of value and prove it first, right? You don't want to go out, if you could spend 5,000 to prove the idea versus 30,000, just do the 5,000. Or if you can only spend 1,000, do that first. So you're not throwing money away and find out, man, the market's not responding to what I want to do. So again, it's like experimentation and trying that out. So really that's my goal. I help people really filter out what's really important about their product. And so for instance, I've worked with and here's some more tools, right? Like worked with a few companies. Recently, somebody was going to spend 80,000 and that was their budget. I was like, hey, you can spend half of that. You know what I'm saying? And so we created a totally new budget based on, and throwing out some tools. I was like, you don't need a programmer to do that. There's a tool called Zapier. You guys haven't heard of Zapier. It's a great tool for automating all these different services you use. And so we end up using
it's a
FormStack.
company.
Oh, is it? Oh, awesome.
It is.
Hey, it's a great product. And so all we did was we just used FormStack, which is a form builder, so we didn't have to do anything there. Connected it to Zapier, which is, we'll get the, results from FormStack, and then we end up pushing it into MailChimp. And so we created this whole thing, and we didn't have to talk to any programmers to do that. Just had to make it work. And so it's a great way to do testing and just see like, how is this going to work? And then when you finally decide like, this is right, that's when that's when you finally say, all right, now it's set in stone. Let's go ahead and build it, because it's a great way to do testing and just see like, how is this going to work? And then when you finally decide like, this is right, that's when that's when you finally say, all right, now it's set in stone.
Is this a Teddy Riley? Is this a Teddy Riley? Is this a Teddy Riley echo?
It is. I'm like, what happened?
We got a Teddy Riley echo.
Echo.
That was it. We got a
Echo.
We got a Teddy Riley echo.
Oh man, it's hilarious. Said I gotta leave.
I'm sorry.
It's you.
Take your headphone off.
I think that's headphones.
Sorry. Went too far.
I think it's your other phone, Darye. Whole time trying to post on Facebook.
I'm sorry.
That's hilarious.
Oh, that was great. Okay. Ooh. Sorry, guys. We about the jokes around here. Okay. So yeah. Okay. But so that, I mean, that's a great no, right? Because I mean, what you just kind of illustrated was that, a person might think you have to build this entire new infrastructure just to make a certain action happen, when actually you can use tools that already exist and just find ways to link them together. And so I think that also kind of leads me into my next question. Sorry, I got mad questions. For people that are not trying to develop like an entire tech product, right? Like people are not trying to develop software, people that are not trying to develop an app, maybe they just need to know what tools exist that will help better automate their businesses, right? A good example, obviously, is like email, or e-commerce. Do you work with clients on things like that too, and just setting up like software they could be using, things that they can do on their back end that'll just help them kind of do their job easier?
Yeah, absolutely. And essentially, because as we're kind of ideating, working through like what the product should be, that's where I start trying to look for more tools to figure out how to do this in the cheapest way possible. So, for instance, websites, I'll just start there. Like there's a lot of people, sometimes people try to jump into WordPress. I don't recommend that unless you are ready to pay developers continually, or if if you want to worry about your site getting hacked all the time. I mean, don't get me wrong, like WordPress is good, but it has a cost behind it, right? So I tell people just, Wix, or I typically recommend Squarespace. Great place to start. Of course, these things have monthly fees, but again, they're cheaper than a lot of other options. So Squarespace is a great place to start. We talk about email, talking about like MailChimp, MailerLite, things of that nature. These things are awesome because now you can just integrate them in your website. So if you want to create an email newsletter, in talking about like COVID-19, what's going on now, right? You're trying to get online, make sure you can reach more people, talk to your customers. Creating an easy way for them to subscribe to like a newsletter is an easy thing to do through something like MailChimp and email newsletter systems like that, like Constant Contact, et cetera. Setting up a store, you can set up like a Shopify store. Obviously, if you had a situation where you were selling products in your company, or like, it could be, anything, but you're selling product, people can't come to your store. Shopify is a great way to get online immediately. They already have a great format. You can just get started with that. there's so many different tools out there, and I always encourage, like, if you're looking for something, there's probably a way to do it online. Even if, like, my website, and keep in mind, I'm a programmer and I know how to do this stuff, but I set up Darye.com, and it's really simple. I use this thing called Blocks app, actually, and I created a website. I've made a MailChimp link in there to subscribe to email newsletter, and then also just dropped a Calendly link, right? So those are two things to allow people to book meetings. So I don't have to worry about creating all that. And I did that probably in like 15, 30 minutes or something like that. So yeah, just some more tools. There's all kinds of things out there for business owners to use.
I have a question in the chat here, and this might be referring to what you were talking about before. She asked, is this the same process you would follow if you want to develop an app like a keyboard? I don't know if I understand what you mean, Nicole, so maybe you can dig into that a little bit more. I think we were talking about building minimal viable products, and so she was asking, I think, if this is the same. Oh, so she wants to develop a keyboard app with like custom emojis. So that's actually a great question. So how would you develop something like that? Because that's more of an Apple integration thing, right? So I imagine that's like an API thing. Sorry, that's another glossary word. But I don't know. You're the CTO, I don't know.
Yeah. That's one of those things where that's interesting too, because prototyping that is definitely harder, right? You have to, you have to like do that on the phone. So testing it out, you still have to develop a lot of that. So yeah, depending on what the idea is, like for instance, if you needed like to build an Uber today, like an app like that, there's not much you can do in the way of like really cheap prototyping. You need to still build something. But I think the key with that, even with like creating a keyboard app with custom emojis, is not building everything at once. It's really taking your big vision and bringing that down. So this is another conversation I have with a lot of founders. Is one of the big questions I ask is, what's your 5-year, where do you want to be in 5-10 years with this idea? And I say, great, thanks for giving me that big vision. Now let's cut this, we're going to trim this all the way down and think about where we can be in 2 months and where we need to start with. So with something like a keyboard app, I would say, all right, well, let's just create a non-functional, app or whatever it may be with just the button, so you can at least just see what it looks like. Let's start with how it looks. Let's start with what happens when you press it, things of that nature, and not worry about like, does it actually work? It's really about getting a feel for it first. So the idea is to break it down into milestones, so you can make new decisions at each point along the way.
Thanks, Nicole said thanks.
Right on. I think I know Nicole McLean. There's only one Nicole McLean I know.
You might
combo.
know Nicole.
Yeah, I think so. We went to junior high together. Yep, there we go. What's going on?
I'm digging up another question that I have here. So I have someone that already has like an e-commerce store set up. Not really sure if she's using it correctly. And so she's asking, she's trying to create like a sales funnel of sorts, right? So if someone is to buy something, being able to have like automated emails that go out, with deals and things like that. And then if they click it, then maybe something else goes out. What kind of products are there available that can kind of help with that kind of email automation thing? Like, would you recommend a CRM? Would you recommend, just using kind of a souped up version of a MailChimp? What sort of things exist in the market right now for that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think so. As far as automation, in general, like MailChimp has some automation. I haven't tested it out in that kind of scenario specifically. But I also know ActiveCampaign that's a really robust system. And I mean, you could do a lot with that. I haven't dug into that completely, but I've done a little bit of research. So Active Campaign could be another, I would definitely look at that as far,
Oh, and they're based
especially
here
the more
too, I
complex again.
think.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have an office here.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Cool. We got another question from Ariel. She asks, what suggestions would you give to those who are looking to start a directory that needs constant updating?
I guess I wonder what kind of directory is this, like company, individuals? Maybe we'll see if we can get so I could share some quick thoughts about it. I'm really going into my mind right now. This is what I have to do, problem solving. I think with something like that, one of the challenges I would start with, even ahead of the constant updating side, is how do you attract people to come in, right? So one of the hard things about directories is, and I see with the and I see the message coming in here too. Can find it. Yeah. So it has to be valuable, right? People have to want to keep their profiles updated, and it's hard. One of the things that you're doing with this directory, and the way you described it specifically, is, and I'll just read it out loud so people. It just says both the directory to highlight where people can go for tech supports when building a business or finding tech resources. So what you have to do is first get this is like a marketplace essentially. And when you have it's a two-sided marketplace. When it comes to marketplace, you have to figure out how you get one side on it when the other side isn't, right? And so that's typically more the business challenge before it's even a technical challenge. And so one of the things you have to think through is like, how do I get people who want to not just come here and set up their profile, but actually come back? And so for technical people, they need to start, like, if you have all the tech support people, they've created profiles, you have to somehow make sure you get the other people coming in and pinging them, right? Because if they're not getting, if they don't feel like this website is doing what it should be doing, they're gonna be like, well, it's just another site I signed up for, right? And then it kind of gets left being stale. So typically this becomes a marketing challenge, and how do you drive traffic and drive interest in that type of thing. But that's kind of where I would start looking at that. And again, it goes back to talking to those customers, because the way you start knowing how they're going to come back is when you go talk to them specifically and they're like, okay, this is what I would need. This is why I'm excited about this. And when people are super excited, that's when you know they're going to translate their thoughts into actions, right? That's what you want people to do. So yeah, that's where I would start with that. Hopefully I answered that. I know that wasn't really a technical answer, but
I figure another piece of that, and a key component, as I'm just observing, is also that if it needs constant updating, you don't want that to be done by you because you're the platform. You want users to want to and they're incentivized to keep their profiles updated for you. It's updated on the site. One that comes to mind is like, yep. Like, that's where users are going. You want them to stay up to date with respect to whether it's profiles, whether it's office or business hours, because consumers are looking to check restaurants out, and they're going to that site as a first touch point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think another kind of easy thing you could do too, I mean, at least to start, is you can probably just start with like a Google form or a form stack and just start compiling information. And, on a simple side, you can just send it out to people that you might think are interested, or maybe you have it automatically upload into a site, where people can, maybe it's Airtable, right? And you have an Airtable set up on your site where people can just scroll and sort and do that sort of thing, right, to start. And then as it gets more robust, because I imagine this could be something, and I'm gonna say as robust as like a Fiverr, right, where people can, upload their own profiles and talk about what they can do from a technical side, whether it's design or Wix pages or whatever. And then you have people that are coming in that are looking to hire those people and are able to do it all through one platform, right? So I think you can start with something like your minimal viable product, right? Or your minimal testable product is maybe just a Google form that uploads, or an Airtable form that you just put data in that people could just have access to. And then as that grows, or as that community grows, then you can start transitioning it into something that's a little bit more robust, like a real marketplace.
Yeah, it's a really good thought. I actually had a client recently who set that up using Google Forms, a Wix website, and they put a password on it. So so it kind of like put the spreadsheet in the Wix site after you put in your password. So it kind of still had the login feel, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
So it works, and it's and people have been using that.
Multiple things together.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So that's
Cool.
good stuff.
Well, I have a little game I wanted to play.
Oh, I don't know about this. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off.
I have a game I like to play. Because we are about 15 minutes from our general Q&A time. I love tools. I love apps and things. And so I wanted to just do a quick like round robin of what some of you guys' favorite like tools, platforms, software, things that you use to kind of make your life easier are. It's not a hard game. I mean, I'm just curious, like, what are some things that you guys love to use, and how do you use them, and why do you think other people should use them too? And I'm not starting. The light's on you, Jeff, so you get to start.
Let me say, I have two key. Right now, as I said, during Corona and COVID, during this pandemic, I was going to school to be a certified Canva specialist. So Canva is my go-to right now for all things that we're putting together, including the resource that will highlight all these automated tools we're putting together.
Yeah, we use Canva. We're like pro Canva users around here. We use Canva like it's Photoshop, but not like the bad Canva using, because you know some people just use those templates and you can tell it's a Canva template.
Yeah. What I love about it is, number one, that it's free, and that it was literally built. For example, Darye, you mentioned that folks are looking to, you know, do a prototype for an app. There's different templates already set in place where you can put that together and make it look extremely presentable. So it's crowdsourcing various templates to make it easy for folks who are not specialists, who aren't graphic designers and Adobe folks, to put some stuff together that looks all right, looks decent, and in some cases looks fire, and as if a true designer who works at Hermes put together. So I think that would be number one, and not just but presentations. We built our sponsorship decks. We built pitch decks. We built save the dates, graphics, calendars, whatever you want, you can do it. Agendas. It's a great tool, and above all, it's free. And you don't need to use the paid version of it to spit out a good quality product.
True that.
Yeah, man. You actually took mine.
Are you a Canva specialist too?
I am, man.
Specialist?
I am. I need that certification.
Yeah, man, look.
I think we should make it a certification. Yeah. It should be a series of classes or something.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I'm actually super impressed by Canva and what they did on making design accessible.
Yep.
So yeah, I hop on that. I think the other day I jumped into Adobe Illustrator and I was like, what am I doing, man? Like, get out of here. So I quickly pivoted and jumped into Canva. So that's definitely one of my favorite. But since you said that, Calendly is a constant favorite of mine. I love that.
Lifesaver.
Yeah, yeah. It is a Black-owned company
Oh
as
God,
well.
that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's a bonus. It's super simple to use. They have a free tier as well. But even their paid tiers are cheap, like 10 a month, 15 a month for pros. So it's not bad, but that's a tool. Like initially I was like, man, I need to schedule meetings. Like I was like, who do I need? Do I need an assistant or something like that? And
Right.
so I just got Calendly, email those links out, man. It makes setting up meetings easier. But also, and it kind of goes to your point about like, like using technology to grow your business, but that's something you can use it just for appointments, right? You can just set it up. People can pay. You can connect it to Stripe. There's another one. Just drop another one in there that allows you to immediately accept credit cards, so people can just book and pay all at once. So yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I love Calendly too because you can automatically put like Zoom links in there too. So like people could just know to just get right on the Google Chat or the Zoom or the Blue Jeans, whatever it is that you use. It's like my favorite thing in the entire world. I am definitely a Calendly user. I am definitely a pro Canva girl. So those are two amazing ones that I would also recommend. But I would have to say that in addition to those, for me, it's Mixmax, which is an email automation tool that I absolutely love for a few reasons. One, it's great to just track emails. You know, I do a lot of pitching. I think we all do. And so I like to know that someone has opened my email because it then gives me an opportunity to set up follow-ups if they don't respond. It's also great for sending personalized bulk emails, which I love it for. So if I know I'm sending, a similar same message to a lot of people at the same time, I can set up in Mixmax to send the same email, but I can switch out different information based on like spreadsheets. So maybe I'm sending something to, I'm gonna just use Jeff. So I'm sending this to Jeff and I am following up on blank. You can blah, blah, blah here. And I can send out individual ones with just one click. I don't have to sit and spend, an hour sending 25 separate emails. So it's great for that. And it's also great for automatic replies, which I love too. And so I would say to anyone that is either having has a consulting business or anything where you're having to like contact a sales funnel on a regular basis, to use a program like Mixmax to help you sort of automate your email. You can schedule emails too, you can send at a certain time. Like it's just like the best tool, and it is free, and they have freemium model that I use as well. But it's really great for that. And then the other one that I probably live by that no one else cares to live by with me is Asana. Like I'm a lister, and I can't remember things all the time. And so I need not only my task list in my email, but I love Asana because I can connect my emails and my calendar to Asana projects. And I know that things are getting done based on when they're checked off or based on when I reply or things like that too. So it's just really good to keep me organized. And I'm gonna name one last one that no one probably cares about, but just the Google Suite. Like even if y'all just want to start simple, like just get the Google Suite, get you a Google email. You know what I mean? Like if you have a business, like I do not want to see your business name at gmail.com. Google Suite is $5 a month. And it comes with Hangouts, it comes with Google Video, it comes with email and Excel and Word and all of those things that you can use to just easily do everything that you need to do really fast and really quick. And so if no one, takes any tool, I would recommend at least start with Google Suite.
Yeah, you can't lose with that.
That was actually my next one. And really, this is really for, I'm gonna double down on Google Suite.
Please do.
For the Facebook audience, for our viewers on Facebook. If you want your business to be taken seriously and you want to do it at a low cost, get Google Suites. You can get the domain, $5 a month, and you go from Tanya's Cookies and Treats at gmail.com to
Treats and Tanya
at cookiesandtreats.com for $5.
and it looks so much better. Like
So much better.
it just looks so much better.
It looks better. And also with that, and why it's important to use Google Suites, and I'm not sure we've touched on that yet, but a lot of these various apps, right, like that we're talking about, where there's Asana, Slack, we haven't mentioned MailChimp, but a lot of the apps that really require you to send out, or where you're sending out, automating a lot of communication out, they're going to take you more serious. They have blocks on public domains like a gmail.com due to what? Due to the filters, due to hackers, due to folks who are using it to send spam. If you want to ensure and confirm that your messages are getting out to the correct and appropriate end user and getting through the filters that their regular and traditional accounts are actually have set up, then it's key for you to have a personalized domain. Anything else, it can bounce back. It can be sent to the spam.
If there's a single tool that you take from this conversation on today, it is that, and I said on today because that's me putting on my Sunday voice. It is please get Google Suite. I mean, this is not personal. I don't want to see your emails to me at gmail.com anymore, especially if you're telling me that you have a business. I don't want to see it. And I don't want to see it because I love you. It's not because I don't, believe in what it is that you're building or what it is that you're doing. It's because I really do want to see you succeed. And people really look at you differently when they have an actual person that they can reach out to and they know you have a domain, whether you have a website or not. If they can see that you are your name at, especially if you're telling me, I just don't want to take you 100.
I am
go
because I was echoing.
I'm sorry, Teddy Riley, but I literally posted the page.
He's gonna put the page. You gonna put the page in there
with the pricing. Like right now, pricing for G Suite for the business version, which comes with customized domain, the calendar, the meets, the sheets, the entire suite, is $12 a month per user. That's for everything. Google has made this extremely simple. And I believe that comes with unlimited storage too on your drive. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think you get
1 terabyte.
Yeah, you get a lot. You get a lot. But the other great thing about it is that it actually allows you to automate a lot of other things, right? Like now you have a word processing program. Now you have a spreadsheet program. Now you have a PowerPoint program. You can do forms in there. Like you can literally use it to run every piece of your business. And if you only spent that $12 a month, I guarantee you'd probably make more money. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, and I'll just emphasize too, like the need to get your documents and all that like off your computer, like there's no reason to have Word documents sitting on your laptop where they're locked and you're like, oh, I don't have my computer with me or whatever it may be. You should be able to like share that out. The ability to share with other people, Google Docs, like, and their whole suite makes that like just work perfectly overall. So yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I've got a ton.
I mean, listen. We can keep going if you want to. You want to keep going around?
You want to talk about within our community specifically? A lot of us are attached to meetings, doing events. Eventbrite is cool, but I know Party Girl team, being nimble, we're a proponent of using our favorite tool.
I love Splash. I've loved it a long time.
Let's break Splash that down. And I think Splash that, we talked about Canva, right? And Canva being essentially a template for all graphics, presentations, design. Splash that is essentially the same thing, but for creating your own events page. So you can customize your event page, seamless process, and you get to control the overall look and feel and have a customized domain specifically for your event versus having people have to double check and go specifically through a third party such as Eventbrite to find your events. And I think that that's probably the best tool, because something that we love, and I know Kelly can touch on it, is the fact that once you're in there, you've got the whole email template, you can save it, keep all your events. The back end process is extremely seamless. And the team works with you. Like, the team is efficient. They understand small businesses, and you get the benefit and the perks of the simplified version of Eventbrite, but you also get the customization that Eventbrite does not allow you to have. All in one tool.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely the Canva of it's the Canva of the event ticketing tool, right? I mean, I think everyone uses Eventbrite for a ton of things, right? The reason why I choose not to use it is because I can't customize it, and the customizations that come with it are really actually fairly bootleg looking. Like, you can kind of change the color stuff, and it just doesn't look good, and the only piece you own is this little banner at the top, so you really don't get to have like information and things like that. Like, it's just meant for RSVPs and buying tickets, right? And what SplashThat, and I've been using SplashThat for so long that it just feels great to me, but you can literally create the most beautiful like event pages, event pages that have more than just buy a ticket. It can have information, it can have faces, you can build an entire site around your event on Splash, and it's free as fuck. I mean, I'm sorry, we cuss on here, Darye, but it's free. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a paid version, right? But it's free. Most of the templates are free, and most of them are super customizable. And even the parts that aren't that customizable aren't things that like you necessarily lose sleep over. But it's great. I mean, we've been using it since we started. I've been using it since I've been in the event business. I mean, that was all we were using, even in the early aughts. So, I love it. I love when I see people using it. And it integrates with a lot of really great stuff too. I mean, if you're a Salesforce CRM, like, it integrates directly with Salesforce. It integrates directly with a lot of platforms. So, yeah, I will second the SplashThat for sure.
Speaking of CRMs, which is customer relationship management tool, CRM. The overall objective of a CRM is, we've talked about organizing your back end process if you're in a business that reaches customers. So really, most businesses have them, whether they're businesses or individual people. And I'm going to use the beauty industry as an example. I think that there's a need for them to even be organized under a CRM. Essentially, if you got rituals and routines with your customers, you want to send out feedback, and just a home where you can keep notes on customers, where you can, organize prospecting, finding out new vendors, whatever. This is essentially a platform where you get to keep all that information in one place. And Salesforce is the Magna Carta Holy Grail of the industry as it pertains to CRMs, but there are also free options for folks who don't necessarily have the bag or the overall touch point with respect to sales teams to use. And I believe HubSpot is probably one of the better ones with respect to having, low touch point, low cost, or even a free option where you can organize it. And again, going back to the whole customization piece, something where you can make it look and feel exactly how you want it, tailor it to your specific needs within your industry. And I'll make a post about that one too.
Yeah.
And, if you had any questions, you're a CRM man. So if you,
I was going to ask you too, Darye, even from a testing, I mean, I don't know. Are you familiar with Apps Without Code? Are you familiar with Tara with Apps Without Code?
Mm-mm.
No. So it's technically a class. So it's one of those you got paid for the class and then you listen to her tell you what you can use. But there's like 3 or 4, and it might be similar to Figma that you mentioned, where you can literally build wireframes and build like minimal viable product like apps in a
what's
platform.
What's a wireframe, Kelly?
Oh, I'm sorry. I hate when I get to talk technical talk. It's basically what Darye said, where you could just draw out like what each screen looks like. So login screen, once you enter, what does that look like? If it's an error, what does that look like? So basically when you go on an app or a website or anything, everything is a screen. And the screen is based on an if and accent. Like if you do the thing, then it goes to the next screen. If it doesn't, then it goes back or whatever. So there's like platforms. You mentioned Figma is one. There's another one that I cannot think of the name. In what is it called? Envision is one. Are there other like platforms like that where people, if they just have an idea and they just want to play around with what an app would look like or what some software would look like that they could use?
Man, there are some. Honestly, I've like consolidated all into Figma now, and so I've like forgotten most of them. I know one of the early ones was called Balsamic, and I don't remember, like
that.
Yeah, it's old now, but they were one of the early ones on prototyping. But and they made it intentionally look like it was just a prototype, which was good because it gets your mind out of the mindset of this has to look great. It's just all about the wireframe and what it's going to do. And there's a few more but they're more like specialty tools like Sketch.
Sketch was the other one I was thinking of. Yeah. Sketch was the other one. It was Sketch and Envision. Those are the two.
Yeah. So those are great. I found like Figma is like Google Docs of so that's what makes it awesome. Again, it lives in the cloud. You can share it with other people. You can edit at the same time with somebody else across the world. So yeah, that's really good. Another tool I'm gonna drop. If you guys have this is like I don't even know where this tool came from. It's quite amazing. It's called Miro. It's Miro.com.
That's something I haven't heard of before.
It's like a crazy virtual whiteboard where you can do whatever you want. I mean, you can, and they have templates. If you want to, you can lay out wireframes and that kind of stuff, but you can drop in Google Sheet Link, Google Docs, images. We've used that for like planning out strategy, doing workflows. It's a great place if you want to put everything in one place. So you can like get a full vision of your company strategy, design, flow, all that kind of stuff. So that's one of my favorite go-to tools.
Spell that again. Yeah. Is it Miro?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't hip to that one.
Yeah, it's amazing. You go in there, you're like, man, like as a developer, I'm like, man, who did this? This is a lot of work right here. So that's a really awesome tool to use.
Are there any questions? I mean, I'm even asking Facebook, honestly, of something, or you have a pain within your business and you're something that's just taking too much time for you to complete. This might be an opportunity for us to, collectively figure out if there's a tool that exists that may assist you.
I think Jeff just opened it up for pick our brain time. So take advantage, people. If you got a question, take advantage of it. There's another tool I want to share, but I just lost the name of it. And so I have to go find it.
Talked about Slack for business communication, team communication. Yep. Great place to, you can organize it channel by channel, create a channel based off of a specific need. If you have a short team and you want one channel to be based on finance, accounting, QuickBooks, if you want one channel to just be, your task list, you can use that and connect it to a Calendly and Asana. All those tools kind of interface with that. Another one we haven't talked about, I think we're using it. Everyone's using it these days. Zoom.
Zoom, yeah.
Yeah, Zoom's like the go-to.
Right.
Zoom is making so much money right now.
Oh my gosh. Shout out to, or maybe not shout out, but shame the senators who had to drop on their own and sold stock in certain companies and picked up stock.
Oh man.
In Zoom before the drop. Made a whole bunch of money just to lose it. And get in trouble.
Hey, for real.
One of our first questions, and what's up, Mia?
Oh, I love Loom, Adrian. We should talk about Loom. Okay, go ahead.
No doubt. Where is the best place you should start if you have a vision for a logo and want it created to get on your website and on shirts for branding?
Fiverr.
Yep, Fiverr.
Fiverr.
That's actually a tool that we didn't even think to. I mean, that counts. That's a tool. If you have an idea and you want to talk to somebody to do it, Fiverr is a task list.
I love Fiverr. We've used Fiverr before.
Yep.
Multiple times.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you just need a quick, let me tell y'all a Fiverr story. So when I was in program for Techstars last year, all of our companies needed websites and they were all built on Wix. And we're a 5-person team, right? And so we hired someone on Fiverr to build 10 websites. And I think we paid $350 for 10 5-page websites. So, overseas guy, Wix specialist, and just knocked it down in like a week, just real quick and easy, right? So, and that's not to like, I'm not trying to be an undercutter, right? Like you can go to people and they can build sites for you and stuff like that too. But if you are, you're bootstrapping, you just need to get something up really fast. You can use Fiverr to get some stuff knocked out until you can really hire someone to build you something a lot more robust. So, don't be afraid of that. We all on a budget, we all balling on a budget. So we got to do what we got to do. But Fiverr is a fantastic resource, not only for building websites, but design, content creation, writing. Like you can hire people to do almost anything on there. So
great point.
Definitely use it.
We've also talked about finding, if you get to the point where you got your framework, your wireframe, you got all that, and you are looking to connect with developers, Darye, what are some of the best resources to find and connect with developers, aside from yourself?
Of course.
And please.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, so I kind of hesitate on that, right? And I'll tell you why, but
I figured.
So, but one tool you can use, like in general, I like Fiverr because you have restricted prices and it's very clear what they're doing. And I think when you go to build something, you need to be that clear and have some kind of cap in your budget, right? But honestly, I've used Upwork before, but yeah, it's hit or miss though, and I don't mean hit or miss because it's not great. I mean, I think their framework and their platform is really great. It allows you to find people. But there's another side to it where if you haven't like managed overseas peeps, you know what I'm saying, before, you can find yourself frustrated and all that good stuff. And I say that as a person who's done it for a lot of years and I still had, some frustrations with it. But Upwork's definitely one of those things. But the great thing about it, you can find people overseas and here. You can find virtual assistants. I found my bookkeeper on Upwork, right? And so they're, again, going back to the virtual world, like where we live and how you can access stuff anywhere. Upwork has definitely been good for finding even more than development, but I've definitely used that to find a good number of developers too.
I have another tool that we haven't mentioned. Actually, I want to go back to Loom real quick since Adrian brought it up. So I learned about Loom actually from a friend of mine, Britt, who is sort of like a ecosystem developer in Kentucky and Cincinnati. And it is so cool. So basically, like what it does is you're able to, like, say you're on a call with someone and you're trying to walk them through something that's on your screen. Like you can use Loom to basically mirror your screen to them and they can see everything that you're doing if you're trying to walk them through a tool. So it's really great for people you're trying to like teach a new program to or walking people through different things. It's great for screen shares. And so I've been using it, I've used it a few times in the last few weeks and I like it a whole lot. I think another tool that we haven't mentioned, and I think we've alluded to them too, is email tools. I think now more than ever, right? Like everything's online now. You know, people are using social media a lot. I mean, people usually only use social media to connect with their audience, but the power of having, you know, an email list created, the power of having regular emails that go out allow you to connect with your audience directly. And I don't think enough people are keeping track of their direct audience the way that they should, because they're only relying on social media to get information out. And so if you have any kind of business or you serve people in any way, it will help you to build a list and have something that goes out regularly where you're just connecting directly with people. So we use MailChimp internally, but Constant Contact, I think Active Campaign was mentioned. There's tons, you know, but you know, if you have a business or you have something you're working on, definitely get an email list, because God forbid social media dies, and then what do you do?
That's true.
You hear all the stories, especially those that have an audience on social media, and the only way that they can engage and connect with them, they're not So actually, let me turn that into a suggestion. If you are an influencer, you're in a space where you are your biggest contact and your business is operating on social, ensure that you develop out a path for you to reach your consumers outside of social media. Even if that means for every purchase that they've made, once they've made that purchase, develop out a CRM. Have a CRM on the back end where you can store all those transactions, their names and their information. So God forbid your website is going or Instagram crashes or anything like that, you have something to fall back on and you have a place to redirect them. So if you do have a website, if your best way is to engage with people on social media, I always encourage and I would recommend that you still have a website that you can actually direct them to, just in case.
Oh yeah, they change that algorithm all the time.
Yep.
So you never know.
All the time.
Yeah. 100%. All the time. Damn near daily.
Yep.
Let me think. Anything else? There's a tool that I'm thinking of, and I'm so mad that I can't think of it. Maybe it'll come back to me at some point. It's a good virtual work tool that I don't think people know about. But if I find it, I will add it to the list.
Adrian dropped in Trello, which that's definitely a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Asana over Trello. I'm Asana Monday Trello. that's like my that's how I rank them. Because I've used them all. I like Monday a lot though, but after a while it got a little painstaking. But Asana is fantastic because I like that you can link it to Slack. You can link it to, I mean, you can do that with all of them, but Asana is definitely bae for me.
Yeah.
I love her.
Nicole has a question. She
Hey, Nicole.
have a blogger site, but she's looking to get away from Blogger. So what's another site that she can move to and maintain that data? She has a site with 13 years of content, images and posts. She's looking to make a transition, probably looking for something more efficient, more of the time than a Blogger. It's probably outdated a little bit. So twofold. Number one, probably downloading all of their data, and so that she can take that with the site that she's transitioning into. So 2 parts: one, the technical side of that, and then secondly, any recommendations on better blogging sites. So Nicole, as we're thinking and pondering over that, one question I may have is, what's the purpose of the blog, right? Because that may also help us guide the best recommendation for you.
Good question.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to see. I mean, you can blog on like Squarespace. I think one of the things I would search for though is to try to see if there's like any website or any blogging tool that lets you do import from Blogger, or if there's a tool to do that. But yeah, I would move to, I was going to say Medium, but you're trying to like have your presence, right? And so, yeah, I would try to see if Wix or Square, like some of those common like website.
WordPress.
Yeah. Like WordPress probably has a converter or something that can import. I just say like, just kind of be aware when you use WordPress. Get the hosted WordPress, maybe on WordPress.com. That might be the best way to go. If you went the open source route, there's a good chance you're going to get hacked at some point. Just my experience. So yeah, WordPress.com.
WordPress is the feds.
Yeah.
WordPress feels like the feds.
My best experience has probably been with Squarespace.
I like Squarespace a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing that kind of sucks about that though, especially like transitioning 13 years worth of content, is like losing comments, like all that sort of stuff. Like if that's not something you're really care to save and you can transition to another platform, like a Squarespace where you're able to, it's like your website and you can just have your blog part on the Squarespace site. That would be great. But if you're looking to definitely keep all your data and stuff like that, you know, you might have to, I mean, I don't know.
And what I like about Squarespace is they have templates specifically for blogs. So it can look exactly like a normal blog will look like your website. So it's flexible there. If you're looking to keep that same look and feel, it doesn't have to look like a traditional website. I'm posting that one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I was able to.
Go ahead, Darye.
Well, I'll just say I was able to see a lot of like content about Blogger to WordPress, so that's probably the easiest. I also found a support thing on Squarespace from going to Blogger, and you know some of these you may be able to import comments and that kind of stuff, but I'll just post that there. I haven't read that at all. So, but hey, there it goes.
And what I would also say is this might actually be a great time to check out Leverage 2 tools. So as you're transitioning, go to Upwork or go to Fiverr and figure out if there's some technical support that you can get with people who have the experience of transitioning from one blog to another. Yeah,
and that's actually a really good point. When you have something really specific like that, you can pay somebody sometimes like $5 an hour. Even sometimes it may be more manual. It may not even be a developer, right? And they're just going through, and they'll give you a quote like that, you know, $100 or whatever it may be, and then they'll just get it done. So yeah, that's a really awesome suggestion.
Okay.
Word.
Yeah, and that, Darye, it looks like, that support page that you reference does walk them through the requirements for Blogger to
awesome.
make that transition.
Ooh.
Clearly it's words, but what I would say is still, if you need to, trust somebody has made this transition before and wouldn't mind getting a little change for helping you do the same. Or can actually do the technical requirements.
Yeah, I think that's an important point too. Like one of the biggest things about Fiverr, Upwork, whatever it may be, and even just using technology, it's kind of like bringing in a lot of stuff we talked about in this conversation. Like it's really about leveraging your time. And, you know, like if you could spend $100 and save yourself like 20 hours or 40 hours of work, whatever that is, like it's definitely worth it, right? Like the question I always ask business owners, like how much is your hour worth, right? And you have to determine that. And if it's worth, you know, 50, 100, 300, 500, whatever. A lot of guys, they say I'm worth $1,000 an hour. And it's just so you know that if you work on something, it should be really important. And if you could spend $5, 20, whatever it may be to get somebody to do the repetitive tasks, or you can spend $10 per month on something like Calendly, but it saves you all kinds of trouble. You don't miss meetings anymore. Like your reputation is better. Google Apps. I finally have a domain. You know what I'm saying? I look professional, like for $5 a month. It's like that's leverage, right? And you want to use that wisely, right? And so there's a time where we really have to, like, there's a way you can be cheap, but we really need to think about value. You know what I'm saying? Like instead of like costs, right? Because when you think about value, you're like $5 for all of this, like that's worth it. You know what I'm saying? And especially when you're trying to go to that next level. And so I've had to learn that. I'm that guy that will get in there and like, oh, I can do, like, I'm a programmer, you know what I'm saying? So if I think of an idea, I can build it. And that's not always the best idea, right? I can find cheaper resources than me that can build it, and that would like leverage my time way better than me spending all my time doing it. So, so good stuff like technology, people, these are great tools that help maximize what your business is about.
Okay. And I'll just put in another one. We were talking about outreach to consumers, to your audience, to other businesses, prospecting. Google, you already are buying Google Suite. I saw you sign up.
Everybody got to buy it.
You already got it. 12
I'm not accepting any more @gmail.com emails.
You got that. So you
not
got
answering them.
So they have a survey there, survey application that's Google Forms. You can customize the link and everything. Straight to the point. You know how Google is, just like Apple. But what I will say is if you're looking to get more customized version of a survey, you want it to look pretty and for that user experience to flow and look all good, Typeform is awesome. They've got a free version of it. It limits the amount of people that you can touch with the free version, or limits the amount that you can have open surveys. But it's a great tool. And what I would say with that, even on the free version, if you do go through Typeform, you can actually convert that, and where all the data and the information is being stored and linked to a Google form or a Google survey, a Google sheet. So once you got all that information, your survey is done, you can delete that one. So now it frees up space, and you also have all the data back in your Google Suite, because you are going to have Google Suite. And I don't want to make it like we're just proponents, like we work for Google or anything, but
yeah,
Google is the only place right now. Yeah, Google is really the only place right now that has made stuff like that accessible for us. You know what I mean? It's where you don't have to pay, you don't have to do much customization. You can have everything in one place. Just doing business.
I mean, if you're a Microsoft person, you know, and you want to use Teams and all of that, I mean, that's up to you. That's none of my business. But I mean, you spend way less on a Google Suite than you do on a Microsoft Suite. Yeah. That's all I got to say about that.
One thing we didn't mention is phone calls.
Ooh,
great one.
Getting a separate number, right? Google Voice allows you to do that. I don't know if that's included with Google Apps automatically or not.
Yep.
I think so. As long as it's attached to the email, right? Because it has to be attached to the email.
Free number, for voice.
I think I got 2 Google numbers.
Oh, there you go.
I ghost y'all all day long.
Hey, but you know what? That's one of the other things. It's like setting up a Gmail, like a actual Google Apps email, and even setting up a separate email like support at your domain. Yeah. You know, and the separate phone number. The reason that even came into my mind was one of the things you try to separate yourself, right? Like people get your personal contact and they're trying to call you or text you any time of day, like, hey, I'm having a problem with this. And sometimes just creating one layer of separation, you know, a little phone number. I have a number that comes in. I know, like, yeah, I'm not answering that right now. It's after this time, right? And so, and not only that, you can, if you grow to a point, you can assign somebody else to handle those things. You get a support email, hand that off, right? Let somebody else deal with some of that stuff or answer the phone. So that's another benefit of, you know, these kind of tools as well.
100%. 100%. One last tool. I know we are 6 minutes to ending time, and I don't know if we have any more before we do the wrap up. But one tool that I do love, and I know a lot of people, sometimes people use it, sometimes people don't. But if you're one of these influencer people, or you're people that do a lot of Instagram, anything, I always recommend using some kind of tool for social. I mean, Facebook lets you schedule stuff automatically, so I don't think you need to use stuff for Facebook because you can already schedule business stuff on Facebook. But Planoly, I think, is amazing for Instagram. If you're a person that uses Instagram as your key social media tool, one, because you can schedule stuff, 2, you can look at your grid, so you can see how photos look on your stream prior to you posting them. And 3, you can spend less time sort of putting stuff up and more time engaging with your audience, because everyone knows that the algorithms are based on your engagement. So the more that you comment, the more that you like, the more that you respond, people tend to see your stuff more. So you can spend more time engaging and being in the app and less time figuring out the right angle and the right filter. That can open up a lot of space for you as well. I don't know if anyone has noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this, it's been happening to me, but like Linktree does not work for me anymore. I can't use it for almost anything. And so I don't know if that means that Instagram is coming up with a new product that's going to allow people outside of just like book, calendar, those types of things. But I think like link products are great. If you can get them to work. I don't know why none of my Linktree stuff works anymore. So I think that's something else that you guys should everyone should consider is when you're posting things, often you're telling people to go to links in your bio or whatever. If you're only able to have one link, I mean, utilize those like book pieces in Instagram, utilize schedule, utilize tickets, all of those sort of things. And the sooner that Instagram can kind of integrate with those things will be helpful too. That's all I got for tools. I think we have an entire tool list that we're planning to send out to everyone. And Darye, I think we're gonna add some of the ones that you mentioned too. I've been writing them down. I'm sure Jeff has been as well. But we want to give this to people so that, you know, outside of this chat, outside of Facebook and the comments, people can access this stuff and also access you too. So give everybody your information, because, you know, we want, you know, I send people to you all the time, but we want the public to be able to get to you as well. I know you have some office hours up. I know you have, you know, some open availability. So tell us more about how we can get in contact with you and how people can tap you to do some work. And then we'll sign on off.
For sure. Appreciate it. Right on. One tool I mentioned is afterschoolhq.com. I didn't mention that one. So I'm gonna throw that out there. We help parents find after school programs, get their kids registered really fast. So we have more to come, but if you're interested, like check that out. And if you're somebody who provides programs, it's not just after school programs, it's also just out of school, which kids are out of school a lot right now. So if you need programs, need an easy way for parents to register their kids, pay and get it done, great tool. I'd love to talk to you about that. So I just opened up, I'm calling this free CTO office hours for people to connect. It's just 30 minutes. We can have a conversation, talk about maybe the idea, talk about where you are, whatever. So if you want more information on that, you can go to darye.com, which is just DARYE.com. And you should be able to get on the schedule. And then I look forward to talking to you about it. And then there's also, if you want to just join the email newsletter, you can do that and get more information like tips, stuff that I've compiled over the years from working with founders, et cetera, on starting tech businesses or just tech enabling their business as well. So yeah, look forward to chatting with you all. And Kelly, thanks for having me on with you guys.
Of course. You're now our resident CTO. So anytime anyone comes and asks questions about, I'm trying to build a thing, you got to talk to Darye, because I can only help you so far. You know, Darye knows all the stuff.
Quick question, Kelly. What was the top app for Instagram? We got a question.
I use Planoly, Planoly. And it's also free. I mean, they have a freemium model. I mean, they have free and then they have, you know, paid levels. I think the lowest tier is like $9 a month. It's fairly cheap. But it's I like it. So awesome. Well, this is, I don't even know what episode this is. I feel like this is a podcast. I don't know what this is, but we're just gonna keep doing them. And it's 8:30, so it's time for us to sign off. Thank you guys for coming back. I think our next session is actually not going to be until next Tuesday. And we are going to talk beauty. We're going to talk beauty industry. So that'll be tons of fun. If you are an entrepreneur and you need resources, please check out benimbleco.com. We are constantly updating with resources for entrepreneurs, grants, loans, all of that sort of stuff. I always forget, every Friday we do movie night with food. This week, I think we have Chef Wit with SIBO Catering, and we're doing street tacos. So that should be fun. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
For sure.
Holler back.
Holler.
Peace.
See ya. Thank you.
The bomb,
Thanks, Darye.
Yep. Thank you. It's awesome.